everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me here today. I appreciate your time. So, today we're going to talk about social power, dominant social power, and the alpha dog concept. Before we start, I would like to apologize if you do hear my cat mowing in the background. She is really trying to be part of this presentation, so if you hear her, just ignore her. I do apologize up front. So before moving on to our topics, let's just generally discuss what leadership is. Let's recall what leadership is. Leadership is a complicated term. So in other words, it doesn't really have a general or universal definition. It's not an absolute. The leadership style and leadership itself is going to be dependent on organizational culture, the organizational design, the industry, culture in general, economic environment, political climate. So it's safe to say that leadership is something that's affected by the external environment and all of the conditions that come with the external environment. But the best definition to a universal one, the closest definition to a universal one would be that leadership is an influential process where leaders and followers influence one another towards change. Now, change is a key term here. Ideas are created, they're generated, and as a team, members work on these ideas together in developing them, and they implement these ideas towards that change. So based on contemporary definitions, the leader is part of the team and not just a passive observer or delegator. There are various leadership styles. We've been discussing them for previous terms now, but contemporary literature does say that some of these styles, based on today's conditions, do call for change. So since the pandemic, we've been observing that there has been a lot of changes in organizational design, and these times call for influential leaders to be a little more active with their followers, if you may. So leadership is not just a talent that you're born with, nor is it a learned experience. Research shows us that it's a little bit of both. Practice and experiences are critical in stepping into the leader's shoes. So you may be born very talented, you might have a natural talent to being a leader, but if you don't get the practice that's necessary, and if you don't get the experiences and the training that's necessary, you're not going to go too far with just the talent alone. Not all individuals in leading positions are good leaders. Being an influential leader requires a lot of effort and investment. Now, let's remember, the number of people led does not measure leadership excellence, but how many great leaders are created during the process. That's a measurement of leadership. Whereas in many fields, if the person in the leading position is not really an influential leader, there is a chance that they're going to start creating obstacles in the path of others. So they may feel threatened by their team members, and they may feel worried about their team members excelling and even passing them in success. In other words, the process becomes an unfair competition. Unfortunately, this is the reality that we observe a lot today, and the lack of influential leaders is a problem across all of the industries. Moreover, a good leader is one who knows how to self-reflect and learns from mistakes. Failure is also part of this process. So what's essential here is to learn from that failure, embrace that failure, and do better next time. A leader who doesn't know oneself cannot work with others. Therefore, being a good leader means working on oneself constantly. Individuals who are part of an organization may hold various roles in the hierarchy. And there are 5 types of social power that can be identified within this hierarchy. So there's legitimate power, coercive power, reward power, expert power, and referent power. Legitimate power comes when people are appointed into positions. So in other words, when they get promotions or they move into certain positions. And if the individual is power hungry, this can become a problem. I would argue that this is something that we often see within organizations. People tend to change with power. An influential leader is not one who would abuse the power and try to implement an ideology or a certain agenda. On the contrary, the power should be used for the better good. You may call me a utilitarianist, but I am a firm believer that using power for the good for everyone involved is necessary, so in a very teleological manner. Coercive power is having the authority to punish people. Now, how a leader uses this power shows us what type of leader they are. In an autocracy setting, punishment would not be surprising. However, the use of punishment in modern day setting seems a little outdated. I would argue rather providing constructive feedback and using each moment as a shared learned experience would lead to better performance. Reward power is the ability to give rewards. Research does show that people don't stay in the work setting for monetary reasons alone. So, in other words, we don't just stick around for salary. And therefore, rewards can provide positive encouragement as long as they don't violate others' freedom and become too competitive, killing the team spirit. So, while you're providing positive reinforcement and a reward system, you don't want to be having team members fight one another and start competing over getting the rewards. You actually want the team spirit to continue and the team members to continue to work together towards common goals. So the reward should not become the goal itself. Expert power is when influence through sharing knowledge occurs. And finally, referent power is influencing others through charisma and personal acceptance. So now as we move on to the alpha dog concept, the alpha dog is the leader who is influential, who has power in the organization. And the alpha leader is the one who has expert and referent power at the same time. The critical element here is influence. In other words, we're not just looking for anyone in power. In fact, many people in leading positions may not even have leadership qualities, as I mentioned earlier. So alpha dog provides insight. They can be identified through observation. So observing the decision-making process, the communication styles, thought processes, body language can lead us to the alpha dog or dogs in the organization. The alpha dog is the one who provides critical clues into the organizational truths. Their actions and behaviors must be in sync with the company's energy flow. Otherwise, they would not be able to drive value and the impact that they would have. Alpha dog is also in touch with their own personal truths and they dare to act on them. As a result, their leadership amplifies the organization's energy. They can identify and set strategic goals. In addition, they have excellent communication skills. Now, identifying the alpha dog is a bit challenging. I must say in all honesty that when I was thinking about my own organization while we were doing this exercise, I did find it very challenging to identify alpha dogs, not to mention only one alpha dog. In contemporary times, organizations have several individuals in leading positions, but like we discussed earlier, this doesn't mean that each individual has the talent, training, experience to make them into influential leaders. Furthermore, they must possess charisma, expertise, and referent power to be the alpha dog. Alpha dogs are on the same frequency as the organization, and they're clear about their personal truths. And like I said, they're not afraid to act on their personal truths, even if they know that they're under the danger of being misunderstood or for upper administration not understanding why they act the way they do. They still fight for their own truths and they fight for the organization. So the alpha dog is an expert in statistical facts and can deliver results in confidence and in honesty. They have a natural curiosity and they add energy to the organization culture. Along with truth, they also have a firm grasp on corporate facts and the realities of team members. They're precious and exemplary. For this reason, identifying them is all the more challenging. So like I said, I've worked in various institutions until now. Most of them are institutions of higher education, and I can say that I observed many people in leading positions who were not influential leaders. Many were not interested in being part of the team. They thought delegating tasks and staying afar as just observers was their job. I feel like they were under the impression that you work hard until you're promoted, and once you're promoted into a leading position, that means that you don't have to work hard anymore because you have a team working for you and doing the hard work for you. And in many instances, they don't even stray from taking the credit for the projects done, which were done as a teamwork. So most of the time, they don't make an effort to get to know team members. They even feel threatened by someone's success or advancement, and they don't understand that one team member's advancement actually turns into organizational effectiveness in the long run, as the relationship between the individual and the organization should be a mutually beneficial one. So in addition, people easily get power hungry, like I mentioned before, and a democratic leadership can very, very quickly turn into an autocratic one. This can lead to people losing their sense of belonging, their sense of citizenship, becoming checked out, and even quiet quitting over time. And as a result, organizational effectiveness will drop. So to wrap up, the alpha dog is the leader who realizes the personal truths and amplifies the organization's energy while being on the same frequency as the organization's truths. Identifying the alpha dog can be challenging. Observation is vital, and specific behaviors will indicate who the alpha dogs are within the organization. Alpha dogs are leaders with higher positions, generating economic value, change, while influencing other individuals. This does not mean that everyone in power is an alpha dog. In fact, most of these individuals may not even be influential leaders. The alpha dog is the one who has charisma, energy, and expert power. Remember, the number of people led does not measure leadership excellence, but more likely it's how many leaders that person has trained and how many leaders they've helped come into being. That is a true measurement of leadership. Whereas in many fields, the person in the leading position is not the alpha dog or even an influential leader, and moreover, we do observe that they become threatened by team members, and they feel like they need to create obstacles for the team members' advancements because they are threatened by others excelling and becoming successful. In other words, the process turns into an unfair competition. So unfortunately, this is a reality we come across often in contemporary times. The lack of influential leaders is a problem in many industries. Therefore, it can also be inferred that the alpha dog is also a rare kind. So as always, it has really been a pleasure. Thank you for listening, and I wish you all a wonderful rest of the day.